I would love to hear a little bit about the basketball.
I will. Yeah. That's a. You guys just want me to talk, or you hesitate? Oh, let me do so. Oh, you're right. Let's pretty as it is. This is how we do it. This is how you do it. About it, man. Spontaneous. I love it. I love it. Basketball. Man, that's a long story, but yeah, I'll sum it up for you. I was always growing up in Eastern Europe. I loved soccer. Everybody's like a huge soccer fanatic in Europe, right? And I grew up in Serbia. At that time, it was still Yugoslavia, so it was a former ex-communist country that was all together. Now you have all these separate countries, right? Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro, and so forth. So I was into soccer, but that whole communist regime, they were so strict and they were so crazy that, they never let me explore soccer because of my height.
Oh,
so growing up then, they were very, I never forget this, like my PE coach would be like, what are you doing? Like playing soccer with those guys. Like you should be playing either basketball or volleyball. And he was like, don't be don't be disrespectful to your family. He's like, you need to, like, you're so tall, like you look weird there. Like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, what, like, just as a kid, but you don't know, right? Any kid, you tell this to my son who's 13, he's going to be like, okay, dad. And, so I always wanted to do soccer, and I was like kind of like pushed into basketball. But then my mother played basketball, her side of the family, and then I developed a love for basketball then. And I was, I fell in love with it, and I practiced every day. I went out every day and, out on the basketball courts in Belgrade, because I grew up in Belgrade. It's a big city, a lot of concrete. So, was playing basketball outside as a kid. And, when I got into my high school years, that's kind of like the breaking point in Europe when you play any sport in Europe. So Europe is there. It's not like here where the college system can have a blend of you playing, college at a very high level of any type of sport and going to school. In Europe, that doesn't exist. Either you go to school or you go to sports at that breaking point of high school, because sports is taken very, very seriously there at a professional level.
You're taken out. You're taken out.
Is that still the case usually?
Yes, exactly. Some countries are changing it a little bit, but it's still the case. It's still a case. I mean, just look it up. I mean, where did all these like famous soccer players go to school? They did it. They went to a certain age, but after that, they didn't go to college. They just went straight to sports, right? And the education system over there it's really like, that you're going to become like a doctor or an engineer when you're in high school. So you're going to know also if you're going to become a professional athlete or not in high school, right? Before you kind of go out there. So it's a risk. It's a huge risk, right? And that risk, I was willing to take just because I love basketball so much. And, I was going to sign with a professional basketball team in the city, which is called Partizan Belgrade, which I played for their junior teams as a kid. And then I kind of saw that, I was kind of like, in this like, situation where I was just kind of like always thinking like, there's got to be something else going on in the world. Like that doesn't revolve everything around here. Then I went into a basketball tournament to France. So it was a basketball tournament in France for clubs. And believe it or not, I mean, you guys probably don't know these guys, but like there was like these top NBA guys playing there that were kids that were my age. Those were like Lamar Odom, Elton Brand, all these guys. So I played against them, not knowing that these guys are going to be one day superstars. And I looked at them and they said their team it was an AAU team that they played on. It was called like Riverside Church from New York. And I remember I was like, I want to play with these guys. But I don't want to be, it's my club or my city. Like I want to get out and see the world. So I went over to their coach and I was like, how do I come here? And I was laughing. He's like, oh man, he's like, here's my business card. Give me a call. Like, give you a call. Like, how am I going to give you a call? So that was the idea for me to go to America after experiencing that. And then there was a lot of scouts there. I met a lot of people and I was just kind of like throwing my name around. And then this one scout looked into me and a couple of my very close friends that were our friends today. And he was like, listen, if you guys ever want to go to the States, if you guys ever want to experience, living in America and going to a nice college and staying with a nice family, let me know. And man, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I want to do
Let's
this.
go.
Like I want to,
What was your vision of the American dream at that point? Like what was, from your childhood growing up, what was your vision of what America was at that time?
Well, the only vision that I could see back then, remember the internet didn't exist. You know, I couldn't do any research on it. It was what I saw in movies.
Okay.
Right. Now in movies, you see a lot of great stuff. Right. You see the American dream being fulfilled. And I was like, you know, if they're doing like this in the movies, it's gotta be possible. Right. So my vision was America back then. It was like, this is really the land of opportunity. Like, this is where Wall Street is. This is where, like, you know, New York is. This is like where Chicago, LA, Beverly Hills, like, you know, like there's got to be a huge, huge opportunity just because how big the country is and how much information we received from like NBA and, you know, NFL football and all this other stuff. So my vision was very clear that I knew, even though I was very young, that if I go there, I can become very successful either in sports or something else. But I knew my ticket there. If somehow I get here, I knew that, you know, the possibilities would increase dramatically compared to where I was at that time.
It's interesting. We have team members from Serbia.
Yeah.
Like,
four.
Yeah. The thing that I always tell them that I really, really love about them specifically is the work ethic is just ingrained in this from like
Different.
It's a different hustle. It's a very, very different hustle.
Shout out to the boys.
Yeah. Shout out to the boys. Was that just instilled, or is that just like the culture? Like how is that kind of, were you just always either working, playing basketball, whatever it was for the most part?
Yeah, it is. It's you're kind of born with it. I mean, over there. And I don't know why the reason is like that. It's just, I think it's some type of work ethic, you know, model that they want to instill in us. And at the same time, it's some type of respect. You know, like you gotta be active, you gotta work hard at it. And the biggest reason why I believe it is like that is because you know, they discriminate over there. But I want to tell you like this in a different way. Like, they don't discriminate because of like race, gender, or color or something like that. No, they just discriminate. Like they have no shame of telling you, listen, man, you're out of shape. Like, you know, listen, like, man, you're overweight. Listen, man, you're not smart enough. Like, you didn't study this. Like, you need to study this. Here's an F. Boom. You know, don't ever come up to practice until you lose 10 pounds. Like, they are like that over there.
Yeah.
So being, I think, very strict and very direct, people develop this mentality of they want to be strong. They got to be, you know, they got to have this like fortitude, the strength that, you know, to kind of like fight over that, because like you will get your teeth kicked in either by your parents, by your coaches, by your neighbors, by your teachers. Like, man, listen, my teacher had a stick this long that he would slap us with.
It's crazy.
If we didn't know something.
Wow.
You know? And like before we would enter the classroom, we would line up in 2 rows, like stand straight, and then the first row would walk in and the second row, it's like a little army thing, right? So it's like, how can you not develop like this type of, you know, like system in your mind to be like this later on?
I love that. It's crazy to hear that in high school they have you making kind of career decisions in terms of deciding where you want to go, what you want to do. How do you feel like that works compared to, I feel like most high school kids in the States, like they don't know. They don't even know what.
Yeah. Like 2 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do. You know, so it's hard for a kid that's 18 to make that decision.
Yeah, I know. I mean, listen, it's like, I think it's just the survival of the fittest over there. It's like, they're kind of telling you, you know, I had this conversation with a friend of mine. I have a lot of clients that are pilots. And, you know, the great guys, I love to pick their brain because I'm always fascinated about airplanes because I travel a lot and like, you know, how this whole airline industry is revolving. And, you know, I was talking with one of the guys and he was telling me, he's like, listen, you know, America, you can become a pilot when you're 40. And, you know, like in Germany, like the biggest and the toughest school, Lufthansa school, like you can't even apply there if you're older than like 23.
Wow.
Or something like that. Like there was some age which I was like, what? And I was like, why is that? He's like, it's just like the system is completely different there, that they're pushing you to make decisions now and to go with that because it will take you such a long time to become a professional at what you want to become. You know, like in Eastern Europe, there's like medical high schools. Like that doesn't exist here.
That's crazy.
You know, you go to high school here, it's a high school, but there it's like, okay, so imagine that, like you're already like people are already pushing you in that direction. Whether your father is a doctor, your mother or something like that, they're already pushing you saying, listen, man, if you want to become a doctor, you want to become a dentist, you got to go to this school already now because you will not have time in order to finish your PhD or whatever, like to become a professional, whatever, or, you know, orthopedic surgeon, or, you know, like, so they're pushing us much, much earlier there to make these decisions.
And do you think, like, from what you've seen with like that type of system, is it a lot more of like parents making those decisions for like what your kid's going to do? So it's like, you're going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I wasn't pushed that much. I was pushed that much by my parents, but I don't blame them. You know, it's the system it is. I wasn't pushed that much, but I was pushed to the point where they were like, you got to make a decision. Like, we're going to support you, but you got to make a decision, right? And my family comes from a, you know, very diverse background. My mother's side of the family are all doctors and dentists, and my father's side of the family, they're, you know, my grandfather was a captain in a World War II, so he comes from like an army side. But my father was an architect, you know, and stuff like that. So I was kind of being like pushed, like I was kind of like the black sheep, like I was like in sports, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like, come on, you can become a doctor, you can become like, you know, an engineer or something, or technically, what are you doing playing sports?" And I just love sports so much, but I was just being pushed more of a, like, make a decision regardless of what you want. Now, some of my other friends, yes, they were very pushed, but it comes from the family, right? If some of my friends' fathers or mothers were attorneys or doctors, they were being pushed in that direction. You can see that from my cousins. Like my cousin is one of the best cardiovascular surgeons in Europe. His daughters are doctors. They're not cardiovascular, they're not in cardiology, but they are in some type of medical form. So you kind of see that still exists, right? Now, he didn't like drag them to school. I think they wanted to become that somehow, but they were also, I think, a little bit pushed over there.
Yeah.
I think that at that age specifically, it's not the worst thing in the world to just get pushed in the direction. Because from your perspective, so you come to America, you start playing ball over here, it goes pretty damn well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But that's because that focus was instilled very early.
Yeah.
So where most kids are still trying to figure out, you know, what is up from down state, like in the States. Oh, you're just trying to piece it all together. And you're already here saying, like, I know what I want. Like, if you know anything about like success or anything like that, having a like definite goal, like having something that you're aimed towards, however early you start that, you're going to be 10x ahead of whoever you want.
Absolutely.
So then talk to me about that culture shock of getting to the States.
Oh, wow.
Like, and what was that like?
That was awesome. It was awesome. When I look at it now, it was awesome. It was a little bit frightening because I was 16 when I came. So
By yourself?
by myself. Yeah, I said, my parents couldn't come because of the whole visa issue and traveling issue. But I was there. I was in Jersey. So I came to Jersey first. Jersey was kind of like my pit stop. And even my social security number is like from Jersey. So it's like, that's a terrible place. Sorry? It was good. But it was good though. I love my Jersey people. You know, I have a lot of clients up there, friends. So it's like, it's fun. But Jersey was my pit stop, I would say. Jersey. The biggest shock was when I landed in Jersey. I landed in Newark and I was flying over Manhattan, and I was like, what is that? That was like my biggest shock, because I've never seen a city that big anywhere in Europe at that time. And I did travel. I went to Paris, I went to Athens, I went to Rome. You know, I went to some big cities in Europe, but New York was just like, what is that? So that was a big cultural shock. Getting there. The biggest shock for me was when they couldn't find me a family in Jersey, they sent me to New Hampshire. So I moved to New Hampshire to play high school basketball. And they moved me with this amazing family, the Pagarani family, which are my mom and dad. I talk to them every week. It's like almost like they adopted me. And I have a brother, American brother. His name is Keith, and we're like family. Literally, we're like family. And they love me, and I love them. We talk all the time. So that shock was to me, because New Hampshire is that New England area is a very laid back area. A lot of greenery. There's not the big city vibes.
Yeah.
So to me, that was a big shock, because I was used to like something like this in Brickell in Miami, where I lived in a building. I can walk downstairs, I can take public transportation, I can go to the parks, play basketball, I can go, to the pools, have fun, do something. So to me, that was the biggest, I think, shock. Life changing. I was like, what? Like, I felt kind of like I was like locked in, even though they had a beautiful house. They had a basketball court. They had a gym. We had a ping pong room. We had a pool table. We had everything, a jacuzzi, a pool, everything. That still didn't make me that much happy, because I felt like I was locked in. Yeah. I missed the city vibe. So when I was exploring America, I knew that when I was going to make that decision to go to college, I knew that I wanted to be in some type of big city or close to some type of big city, just because I grew up in a city. And to me, like living in the suburbs or living in an area like that, it was just too quiet for me. And I wasn't used to that. And then, obviously it was just a cultural change of all the holidays and all the, the new holidays that you celebrate here, like 4th of July, Thanksgiving. So I was like, wow, what's going on? Like, you guys celebrate, you guys go all out. I was like, we have line reasons. We have our line reasons to party. Back home we do celebrations, but you guys go all out. So, my favorite holiday was Thanksgiving because I came in that period. And that's when my American parents threw a big Thanksgiving party. And I was like, wow, like I love this. And then they put the NFL games on and I was watching NFL. And then to this day, I ask my kids, my favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. So I throw a feast. You guys are all invited. You guys can all come in. That's my favorite holiday. Let's pull that up. So yeah, it was a shock. It was a shock. And, here were things much more laid back, and that was another shock for me. Growing up in Serbia and that whole area of, one war, second war, and, inflation and economics issues, like I was always like, I was very like conservative. I was very like, I didn't need too much stuff, need too much clothes. And then when they kind of like threw me a basket of clothes and like, hey, here's car keys, you can drive the Jeep Grand Cherokee. I was like, what is going on? Like, I was like crazy. To me, I was shocked. Like in Europe, you guys saw the cars are so small. It's stick shift, hard stick shifts. Now I'm driving an automatic, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I'm like, what? I feel like I'm in a tank. I don't know what to do. So those were the shock, culture shocks. But then, I got adjusted very, very quickly afterwards, and started exploring the country and traveling, and it was just a great, great experience.
Did you immediately go into like high school when you got here?
Yeah, so I went into high school in New Hampshire. Trinity High School is a very well-known athletic program over there. They had a couple of very famous guys. Actually, some of the guys went to the NBA from there. New Hampshire was an interesting state. You had a player named Matt Bonner. You guys probably don't know him, but they play. Matt Bonner was in Concord, New Hampshire. We played with him on a couple of AAU games and teams. So New Hampshire was a great state. I went to high school. I went to high school right away to finish my junior and senior year. That's where it was.
So you had 2 more years, and then where did you end up going to school?
So that was such a fascinating story. I was getting college offers from everybody, especially in that region. Like I could have probably went to any of the Division I schools in New England that were looking at me, but unfortunately, I broke my ankle in high school my senior year, and some of the colleges wanted to redshirt me. They wanted to kind of like, put me on the side. And then I decided to do an extra year of prep school, which New England, I don't know if you guys know, but New England is very famous for their prep schools.
Yep.
And especially for like lacrosse and like soccer and all this other stuff. So I went to this a place called Bridgeton Academy in Maine. That was an all boys school for athletics stuff. And they had actually the best lacrosse program in the country that all Americans come in there all the time. So I went there for a year to get my leg rehabilitated, to get back in shape. And then from there, I moved to Florida.
Wow.
That's crazy. How old were you? You had enough snow. And I was like,
is it cold in Serbia? Is it like that kind of weather?
Serbia is 4 seasons. So think about something like Jersey or New York.
Yeah.
4 seasons. It's like you got your full, springs and summers and everything.
Cold or winters are.
Yeah, winters are cold.
Yeah. Where did you end up going to college?
So what happened was from Bridgeton, I could have went to some 4-year programs. What happened was a very interesting situation. That was 1999. That was when another civil war broke out in Serbia and Kosovo. That was like a big issue. And I really didn't, I wanted to go back home. I was very homesick because of what happened. My parents were over there. There was like some big issues going on there. And I was very scared, I was a kid and I just wanted to kind of go back home. So the agent that kind of brought us over, the main contact that brought us over, he was always calling me and checking in with me. And he was like, don't go back, just stay here. We'll figure it out. I was like, no, but I want to go back home. I want to be with my family. And then, money was an issue with my family. So I was thinking about going pro, going back to Europe and playing pro ball. So I was, and they were calling me all the time. They go, oh, come back and play pro ball. You're already developed, you're older. And what was meant to be, what happened was, so one of my best friends, I found out, from Serbia, was in Panama City, Florida at a junior college. He transferred there, but we didn't stay in contact because there was no like WhatsApp, there was like no internet or nothing like that. I mean, the internet started, but it was very slow. And he was like, "Oh, Nash is there. You should go to, to Florida. Just check it out. Go for like 1 year, junior college." He says, "You already have your SAT. You can transfer to any other, 4-year school. You got a lot of offers. Just go to Florida. Like, enjoy the beach. Like, you never been to Panama City? You're crazy. Like, Google it. Like, you'll see." Googled it. I was like, "Okay, I'm going." So I was like, "Okay." Nash Sabatic is my business partner now. So he was there. He's the CEO of our firm. He's the founder of our firm, and we knew each other from back home from a very young age. But we stayed in contact, but we couldn't stay in contact because we didn't have any cell phones. We couldn't afford cell phones. So we were roommates, and then he decided to transfer to Honolulu, to Hawaii, because he got a scholarship offer there. And when I saw Florida, I fell in love with Florida right away. And I was like, "Listen," I told my coach, I'm like, "Listen, I'm staying here. Any Division I school wants to give me an offer, I'm staying here." So he was like, "Perfect." So I don't know, FAU, FIU, Florida University, like a lot of colleges were giving me offers. And then when I visited Miami, sold. It's like basically.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened.
And you stayed here since?
Yeah, I still. Oh, I'm sorry. I finished college and then went overseas. I played overseas a couple of years, and then I got hurt and then moved back here.
Zach.
Yeah.
This is the interesting part, because we obviously chatted on Blaze's podcast about the transition from. It's so interesting that you we're.
Have you guys told me that before? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, look there.
Business partners with childhood friends, I think, is like just the absolute hack.
Absolutely.
Because I think about it through the perspective of like, the thing that you can't buy is you can't buy trust. And trust is built over time.
Huge.
And one of those things where most businesses I've at least encountered run suboptimally because people are making decisions based out of fear because of lack of trust.
Yes, absolutely.
So I know the story, but for the audience, you wrap up your professional career, you come back. What was the transition into, okay, now we're going full all in you're professional? Yeah,
absolutely. It had a lot to do with him, my business partner Nash, and us staying close and us staying in contact. He was kind of always checking in on me when I was playing professional basketball, and I was at a point in my career. I was like 23 years old. I was making great money in Europe. Spending a lot of money. Just kind of doing the fun stuff.
Yeah.
As a professional athlete, I kind of figured out that, listen, man, I have such a short time frame to maximize my basketball capabilities, to maximize that on the capital that I can receive from contracts. And I knew that was like kind of running out. And I kind of saw that it was like less and less opportunities for me to really make a lot of money in basketball. I could make very good money, but not a lot of money in basketball. And I remember when I got hurt, that was like the switch first. Like when I hurt when I had an injury in my back, and then that was the switch. I was like, listen, I gotta now do something else. And my partner Nash, he always saw something in me. He was always telling me, he's like, listen, man, you're a very approachable guy. And you're a likable guy, and you're a tall guy, and you stick out in the crowd. And he's like, listen, come over here, come to Hawaii. I'll show you what I do. And, I'll explain to you, because I had no idea what wealth management is back then. Nobody told me anything. Nobody told me about what's an IRA, what's an investment account, what's like. So, I bought a ticket, went to Honolulu for 10 days. He took me to his office. He was, at that time, he was a top advisor at John Hancock Financial. So he was he was killing it. And, he kind of explained to me, and I didn't get it, but I kind of understood how the money moves and, in Wall Street and stock markets and investments. I didn't know all the details, but I kind of had an idea. And then that's when he kind of planted the seed to tell me, listen, if you do this the right way, especially with your contacts, especially with your basketball experience, you can really make a great business out of it. So that was kind of where the seed was planted. And then what happened was he offered me the opportunity to move Hawaii. I didn't want to do it. It was a beautiful place, love it. too boring for me, man. I was like, I'm a city guy person. I'm a city guy. Yeah, I love Florida so much, and I was like, I can't do it. I can go visit you guys, but I can't live out there. It's like, you guys are all the way out there, really, the ocean. And I was kind of like trying to figure it out. At that time, he was transitioning. He opened up Westpac Wealth Partners, which is our firm.
Yep.
So he kind of started from scratch by himself. So there was no opportunity for me to work for us from here because we weren't that big. So he put me in contact with some advisory firms, and I went to get some interviews, and I liked one guy, and they were in Coral Gables, and I said, let me give it a shot. And that was the best thing that happened, because I learned it the hard way without his support and without, the Westpac knowledge, because he was kind of focused on growing our business before, so I was kind of like on a different firm, and I learned different things, and it was a more transactional firm at that time, and I didn't like that. It was just more buy, sell, and, pitching stuff always to clients.
Was it a lower like minimum to get in with you guys?
Yes, at that time. Yes, at that time. It was more products, and I never liked products, and that's what it was more pitching products, like, oh, open this account and do this, do that. It was more commission based, and it wasn't the process. I believe in processes, and I believe in strategies, and I believe in planning. I don't believe in products. Products is this, but long-term stuff. So that's what it is. And so our firm, that's what we focus on. That's why. So I was there for a couple of years, and then I built my book of business. And then once we expanded to mainland, which they call from Hawaii mainland, which is like San Diego, stuff like that. Then I moved to San Diego for 2 years, moved my book of business, and learned everything there, the different, our way and our whole culture and our mentality. And then I decided, hey, listen, this works great. Let's open up a shop in Miami. And he was like, let's go, let's do it. And then that's kind of how it is. So that was the kind of transition.
How big are you guys now?
So we have around close to 380 employees. Manage about over $4 billion of assets under management. We're a nationwide firm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys have kicked ass, and it's interesting coming from sports. A lot of the people that listen to the podcast, they have an athletic background, and I think there's this. We talked about it on the last podcast around. There's this fear when you come out of sports to say, like, who am I? Like, especially you're talking about growing up in Serbia, where your entire identity is like, I'm going to go play basketball. Correct. Like, I'm going to go play basketball. Luckily, your business partner saw that aspect of you. What was it like trying to learn the financial markets? What was it like to have the responsibility of having people invest with you? Like, what was that stress management like?
Wow, it was hard. I'm not going to lie, it was hard. Yeah. You know what it is? It's what you said. It's truth. It's a trust. I'm sorry, trust. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There was nothing to do at all, because anybody that I knew at the time that had money or wanted to invest, they liked me. We were friends. We would go out and have a drink, go to dinner, go to some events. But when we had that conversation about money, that's when things change, right? And it's because of the trust issue. Trust in how long have I been in the business? That's another thing, right? It's like you going to like a doctor, right? I tell this to my clients, like, you're going to a doctor that just got out of medical school. Nothing is doctors. I have clients that are doctors that love them. Like, my family is doctors. But if you're going to a surgeon that just got out of school, do you want him to give you surgery, or are you going to give to the guy that's been in the business and doing surgeries for 20 years? Mm-hmm. You're going to go with the guy that's been doing surgeries for 20 years, even though you trust this guy, right? So that's what it was. People were very skeptical to see if I really knew this and if I'm going to stay in this business, because our business has a huge failure rate. Huge. Wealth management advisors, I think it's like only like 10% exceed. And in our firm, we know the numbers. If you stay longer than 4 years, then you're able to survive. 4 years is the breaking point.
Why if 4?
It's just the industry standard. Yeah. It's like you run out of clients, you run out of motivation. You don't work hard enough. You can't find the clients, and there's like a breaking point. Yeah. Of people that just say like, I can't do this.
It's just super interesting, because in our business, it's the same thing. We're a content group.
Yeah, correct.
We run and manage people's content in a large way. It's very rarely about the money. It's about, first of all, can I trust you doing this job?
Yes.
And then can I trust you in general to point me in the right direction, to treat me well and everything like that? And a lot of people in our industry specifically, they do the volume game. They sell the product. They sell you up a river on something, and they're just trying to turn money.
Yeah, exactly.
And we literally had this conversation last night. It is a completely different game when you're trying to play it the right way.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying to go after the high level people, try to get into circles and get trust with people that like you're starting kind of anew with. How did you manage that? Like, how did you, because you've been with Westpac for 9-10 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
10 years, more than 10 years. But yeah, so close to that.
Yeah.
I like it. You doing your race? I like it. I love it. I was on top. I love it. You know what it is? It's you gotta be sincere to people. You gotta be very open to people. You gotta be direct to people, and that's what it is. It's like, and you kind of have to not be scared to really ask people, very direct questions. That's what it is. And I'm at a point now, and I know when I talk to my junior advisors and my team, they're a little bit shocked when I talk to people, because I ask them direct questions. I'm like, how much do you make? How much do you do this? What do you do that? And they're like, why? That's some personal stuff that you're asking them, right? So my biggest fear was asking direct questions to them. And then at one point, somehow, I got into this phase. I was like, listen, like it's like, they like me, but they don't trust me. So like, why don't you trust me? So then I was like thinking to myself, why don't I just ask them that? So like when I was in a meeting, I was like, hey, let's get together for, here in Brickell, let's go here, let's go to Zuma. And I'm like, listen, let me ask you something. We were friends, we talk about stuff, and it's like, is there a reason why you won't let me, manage part of your portfolio? And I never asked for everything. He's like, I'm not a greedy person. Like, why don't you let me manage some of your stuff, like either your work, your business related accounts, your retirement accounts. Like, is there a reason why don't you trust me? Like, is there a reason why? And I think when you put them like that to them, some people get very shocked, like, oh my God, he asked me this. But some people are very honest, and some people I say, well, listen, Nick, you're a great guy, but like, unfortunately my wife's, sister, she works for Morgan Stanley, and like my accounts with them, I can't give you anything, I just didn't want to tell you that. And then some people are like, well, listen, man, I'm very skeptical. Like, like I know you, you're a great guy, but I don't know, like, what happens if you leave? That's the number one question they ask me is like, if I give you my money, if I give you my assets, if I give you the authority to manage this stuff, what will happen if something happens to you? If you leave, if you switch firms, like, where am I now? Where am I stuck? So that's the fear that they have. So it wasn't a fear of me, but it was something happening to me, or if I can't survive, or if I can't stay in the business. That's what it was. And, I always tell them is like, that's great. It's thank you for being honest with me. Thank you for telling me that. It's like, two things will happen. Well, number one, you're not just going to work with me, you're going to work with my whole team. Right, you're going to meet everybody, and I have 7 people on my team personally. I was like, you're going to meet everybody. So if something happens to me, there's always people that and you can make a decision if you want to stay with the team or you want to switch over. And the second thing is, if I ever leave, which I can't because my partner will kill me, and I don't want to leave. And trust me, I get pitched all the time. Yeah, like, I know all the guys here. I know the Deutsche Bank guys. I know they always pitch me stuff. They always try to say, like, I don't want to leave just because of our culture and our firm. We're so good, and what we do is really different than what other firms do. And doesn't matter the commission, doesn't matter if I can get a better deal somewhere else. I'm not going. And like, I'm just like, I'm like ride or die. Like it's
trust.
Yeah, trust. We're ride or die. We're going all the way. We're going all the way, man.
Either we're burning this thing to the ground,
exactly. We're going to exactly win. Exactly, and we're going all together, man.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where that situation was. And I tell them, like, listen, thanks for your honesty. I appreciate it. But like, I really not, I just tell them I'm really not going to go anywhere. I'm vice president. I'm a partner, and I just don't really see myself going. But if I do, I will definitely let you know. And I think that's what kind of eased people after having that serious conversation, because you got to talk to people. You got to have that serious conversation, and, that's what I do with all my other business associates. I tell them, like, listen, like, I work a lot with the CPAs, and I work a lot with, one of my partners is a CPA firm here in Miami. We work very close together, Alex. And, we had conversations before we kind of partnered up, and I told him, like, listen, man, like, I don't want to be dating you. You know, you shouldn't be dating me. Like, we should be married. Either we're in this all together, or like, I don't want to be. And then, you know, when we were like, yeah, man, let's do this. We're going to partner up. We're going to, sit together, be in the same office. We're going to, introduce each other to other clients, help our other clients. You understand? So you have to be more direct. And you know what? Some people, they're going to find that offensive, but a lot of people are going to find that very respectful. Yeah. And they're going to be like, wow, these guys are serious. This guy is serious. You guys are serious. You're asking me direct questions. And, that's going to be like, wow, like, it's amazing.
It's that conviction.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting too, because I feel like so many people have like a fear of like that confrontation and those direct conversations. And it's something that I've seen in like when we do these podcasts and our clients that have become ultra successful. It's just a common trait between all of them is just not only being able to have those conversations, but like control those conversations and navigate them in a way where like you just keep moving.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed, there's so many people that get so stuck up on like, I have to have this conversation with this person, and then it's like weeks go by and nothing's happening. And it's like, instead you just went and did it, and now you're 2 weeks ahead of that person. And you do that over and over and over, over years. And like, that's the difference that separates you from like here to here.
Absolutely.
It's just like the fear of having the important conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Like my partner, you talk to him, he's completely different than I am. All of our partners, we all come from sports like backgrounds. Would you say a lot of sports backgrounds?
Yeah.
And there's some partners that don't come from sports backgrounds, but they're still great. But everybody's different. But my partner says one thing to all of his clients. Everybody's like, "Why are you keeping me as a secret?" And everybody's like, "What is it? Why are you keeping me as a secret? Like, are you scared to like share my information to somebody, to like your friends? Like, that's really like direct.
Yeah.
Like, now listen, I can say that." To some people, but I'm not comfortable, but like, he's very comfortable in saying like, why are you keeping me as a secret?
That's great.
That is a great line. And I'm thinking about that more and more now, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, I did all this work for this client, I made him a lot of money. I saved him a lot of money. I did all this stuff, but then, he's kind of keeping me like in the dark. But why are you keeping me in the dark if I did all this great stuff for you, and my partner is very direct and he says, listen, like, just tell him like that, like, you know what? You don't want to do it. There's no point, right? I got nothing to lose,
That's really cool.
It's also different because like, this is what we deal with. Mass marketing a product, financial services is not something that you can easily mass market by any means. Like, that just doesn't really exist. But you have to find a way. Like, what's the number one way to grow? Word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, word of mouth is the way to grow. How have you stimulated that through your career?
Wow, that's a great question. Just having more open conversations with my clients.
Okay.
And telling them, in a sense like, hey, now that you see that I'm for real, now that you see that my team is for real, now you see that we delivered what we promised. And there's always something that I always tell clients, and I'm like, I'm always gonna under promise but over deliver instead of over promise and under deliver. I think that's what happens in a lot of industry. A lot of times, like, my clients are sitting with like these advisors and tell them like, oh, these guys promised me the returns are gonna be like astronomical and there's gonna be downside protection and stuff like this, and then like boom, something bad happens, market correction, political election stuff, wars going on, and they don't deliver, and now they're frustrated. The client is frustrated. So I always try to keep their expectations very low, but then when I deliver, I tell them like, listen, man, even though we talked about like this, we were able to get that, and they're like, wow, that's amazing, right? So that's really what I try to do with my clients to express that, and they get that. So once they see that I'm sincere and that I'm honest and that I don't try to cut any corners, that's when I ask them for the opportunity. I was like, listen, in your network, like, I want to meet people like yourself, like, what do you recommend? And I always ask them, like, what do you recommend? Like, what is the best way for us to meet? Is it through email? Is it in person? Do we go to like a lunch meeting? Do we go to an event or something like that? So that's kind of, it's very hard. It is very hard to getting word of mouth, but if the clients really appreciate what you do, they'll do it. But the problem is with them, it's a psychological fear. They're scared of introducing you to other people, thinking like, well, I don't know, like,
Real with you is exactly
so that
James blessing.
But what I try to tell them is like, listen, I'm not going to do anything that I wouldn't do like I did for you. So it's like, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did for you. I'm going to have a normal conversation. I'm going to talk normal to them. We're just going to talk what their issues are. We're just going to have a normal conversation. And listen, we might not even be a good fit for each other, but how do we not know until we do this, right? Until we have this conversation, right? And I'm sure that they're fine. I'm sure they already have some advisor. I'm sure they have accounts, but listen, there's always room for improvement. Why don't we just double check this and ask them, listen, if this is that. And listen, I've received statements from my clients that have accounts with other firms, in which I told them, like, we're not going to change this, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of clients were like, really? It's like, yeah, this is good. Just keep it here. It was like your old job, your old 401k or something, or some annuity or something like that they have. And I'm like, there's no point of taking this over. It's a good thing that you have. Just keep it there. And they're like, wow, like, don't you want to just kind of take everything over? I was like, yeah, but it doesn't make any sense,
Right.
if you're already doing something. So that's really when you're trust, right?
Yeah.
So that trust, when you build that trust, then you can ask for that, introduction, I think. And then I have some clients that are just like all over the place. They just want to meet me with the whole family, with the whole neighborhood and everything like that, just because they're so happy and they care about the other people, And that's something I think you should ask them is like, listen, do you care about other people? Like, do you care about your cousin? Do you care about your brother-in-law? Do you care about your neighbor? Do you care about these people that they should be saving? They should be investing too. Like, don't just do this for yourself. Like, spread the word, tell everybody,
I think that plays like across the board in like the service industry, any like service-based business as well. Cause like we'll go into the meetings with deliverables and like price points, and it's like they're mind blown. It's like how much you're going to get for a certain price. It's like there's so many like bad actors in a way, and all these service-based industries that are, you sell this dream and this package, and then like you said, you oversell or undersell, over deliver. They're doing the opposite, and it's like once you actually get the product, it's air. They're selling air. There's nothing there.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's so hard to earn that trust back. But on the flip side of that is once you do, if you are doing the right things, if you do have a good product, if you're like honest about what's going on,
Absolutely.
and you do earn that trust, the retention is just that much easier. So there's flip side to both of those things. So it's, even though you got to work harder to earn the trust, once you do, they're stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
So then it's interesting because we talked, I think we sat down and talked probably at the start of the year almost. I'm so pretty sure. And one of my biggest questions was with the election cycle coming.
Yeah.
I was super, super interested because managing money, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control.
Oh my God.
Like a lot of things that are outside of your control. How are you communicating the current landscape to your clients? And then from your professional opinion, not political affiliation, just how are you viewing the current climate?
Yeah. I mean, so there's data coming out now showing like past elections from analysts, like how the markets performed. And it was always like a little bit shaky, but then for some reason, the markets performed very, very well after elections. And so it's like a very weird trend. And you look at this, and data goes back all the way to, I don't know which president, but I kind of go back to like the 2004 era with Obama and how the markets performed, and it was shaky. And then, but you can see that the markets were always like in positive territory, after elections. So we look at that data for our clients and kind of explain to them, but then listen, that data could be wrong because that's past performance, and future we don't know. But the thing that I always tell my clients is like, listen, the reason why you're working with me, and it's really is because we're prepared for stuff like this. We don't have all of our eggs in one basket. We have multiple strategies, some things that are guaranteed, some things that are, riskier and so forth. But, we're prepared to make adjustments, and listen, you're not gonna be in a bad situation because we're already prepared for this. Right. So I think if you are very, very well diversified, you're very efficient in what you do, and, you have a very good portfolio, like you're in a much, much better position than the average investor out there that thinks he knows it all by himself doing it. Like you're put in a much, much better position. And the biggest thing that I tell my clients is, and I have this conversation all the time, is like everybody talks about these returns and what are we doing in our firm compared to other firms, and what are we doing compared to the indexes and the markets. And the things that I show them is like, I always show them is like, listen, in good markets, returns are going to show, right? No matter what you do, right? I mean, you're going to, even GameStop and all these other like crazy stuff that happen, like in good markets, things are going to go, good. My question to you is, what is going on with your money, with your capital in bad markets?
Mm-hmm.
And then I show them our stuff that has been in bad markets positioned compared to like the average stuff. And then that is a big, game changer, because they're like, well, wait a minute. I got to tell them, like, let's look at the indexes. Like NASDAQ was down 30% in 2022. Like our portfolios were down, 7 or 8%. So where would you want to be, right? And I'm not saying this like ours specifically, but the general portfolios of some of them we manage were down much, much less because of our diversification and of our exposure in different markets. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's really what I tell them. Is like, I cannot be competing here of who's going to win this race. It's like, nobody can. It's like the same thing in NBA. You guys follow the NBA. Like, not one NBA team is going to win 10 years in a row.
Right.
It's going to be always a diversified stuff. So, but like, if we're always picking the top teams, like one of those teams are going to win, right? But like, let's really focus on like what happens with your capital, with your money in down markets, because people don't realize when you're down, it takes you twice as much more to come back up to normal stuff.
You have to, if you're down 8%, you have to now come back up
20%. Just because people don't realize it's like, I have $100,000. The market is down 20%. Now I have 80,000. Yeah, but the market jumps back up 20% next year. Well, guess what? You don't have $100,000. You have 20% on $80,000. That's not even close to 100. You understand what I'm getting at? So that's why I think that's education. That's why we're very big in our firm on educating clients. It's more about giving them all this information and this data and the data and this resources for them to make a decision now to kind of do what's good.
I love that. Hedging the bet against the down, because everybody gets rich on an up market. It's like pretty much you can just.
And I'm sure everybody else is going with that pitch too. It's like, look what we did here, right? When the market was great, look how much money we made, everybody. And that's an interesting twist on it. Yeah, it's like it's like that's all good and well, but
absolutely, and it's just there because people just don't have the time to do it. They don't have to research it, and then they don't have time for that. My clients don't have time for that. You guys are doing your own business. You guys don't have time to do 3 things at once.
Yeah, so that's we talked about that. Most of the people that you work with, they make their money through either their business, a high-paying job. Where do you see, and then obviously when they're ready for their money to get managed, like we have a client that we work with who sold this company for a ton of money, but he was a business owner. You know what I mean? Like you have this idea of I'm an operator. The best thing that I can do is invest into what I can grow and gain a little bit now. And he obviously right before the 2020 market crash took his sale, gave it to one group, obviously for them to manage the whole scope of it.
Well,
and it dropped 42%. So imagine you just spent 10 years
of just like doing a lot in action
like that. It literally
like that.
I mean, it's insane, but that's where that's where people like you are so important, because I guarantee he got sold up a boat.
I want to meet this guy. Don't keep me a secret. Don't keep him a secret. Yeah. That's joking.
that's funny.
Yeah. Wow. And so what happened? So what?
I mean, it was like he was still climbing back.
He's
right
climbing back.
Like, and how long? Think about dropping 40%. What you had to do to just get back on the
plus side, yeah.
And this is 2020. He's still
2024, 4 years.
Yeah, like still climbing their way back up. So, what are you looking at? Like, are you guys creating new financial products? Or are you guys just like assessing the market? What are some financial products that get you excited right now?
So we don't create any products. So what we know, because we're an independent wealth manager, we're a private wealth management firm, right? We're considered like a boutique wealth management firm because there's so many big wirehouses, and so and what we do is we get a lot of our data information from big institutions, and they're the ones that kind of are packaging and making these products, whether they're ETFs, whether they're mutual funds, whether they're credit funds. Like there's a lot of different companies out there that they really don't want to be in the business of finding clients. They just want to be making these products and making these strategies and then giving it to financial advisory firms as, options for their clients, right? Because they don't want to be in the business of, okay, I make the product, I make the strategy, now I got to go find, Joe Schmo in Miami and sell it to him, right? They don't have time for that, right? They just want to focus on having the assets, having the money managing. So what we do is, based on our client's portfolio, based on what he wants to do, we go out and we talk to these firms and we see what's available to, and what's the risk reward and what are their performances and how stable they are. And then we take those types of products and then we package them up and make a strategy or portfolio for our client. And that's kind of what we do.
Is it very private? Like who you work with, like you keep everything pretty much on.
Yes, I don't speak to anybody. I send a confidentiality agreement right away.
Very cool.
It's like, I don't know. And some people get like insulted, and I'm like, there's no other way I can do it. I'm sorry. Like, I take my stuff very private, and people test me all the time because listen, it's a small world. People know each other, and my clients know.
Especially that circle with that sort of money.
It's a small world. People always ask me like, hey, so I heard you sat down with Joe, so and so, and I was like, yeah, we had a coffee. He's like, oh, so what is he doing? Like, how much is he managing? I'm like, I really don't know. He's not managing money with me. And even though he is, that's what I tell him because I never do that stuff. I respect clients' privacy so much. It's very important. And we send a confidentiality agreement. They sign it. Once they sign it, then we can talk and then we can exchange emails. And I'm so like strict to the point where somebody even asked me about it, like, do you work with it? I'm like very direct and I say, listen, man, it's like, I can't tell you, even if we do or we don't, I can't tell you. And don't take this the wrong way, nothing personal, but it's my job and my name on the line.
But wouldn't you rather somebody that you work with have that disposition? Because no matter what, you're gonna have 10 more conversations where if they're getting asked about whether they work with you, you're gonna get the same response.
Absolutely. So and then if one of my clients is like really like, oh, like, hey man, so and so has been bugging me, he knows that I work with you, like just like talk to him about it, but don't tell him how much money I have. I'm like, listen, man, I'm not doing that. I tell him, like, listen, if you want to tell him that you work with me, great. I'm not getting into any details. If he's interested in doing this, tell him to come to my office. Yeah. Tell him we'll go to Zuma over here and have lunch and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about his stuff. We don't need to talk about your stuff. Yeah. And he goes like, well, I appreciate it, but he's been bugging me. I was like, listen, man, I'm not comfortable doing that. If you want to show him your statements, show him your statements. If you want to tell him what we did, tell him what we did. But I'm talking with him about his stuff and his stuff only,
Love that.
But believe it or not, the majority of the clients are like that. I have one or two clients that are extremely like high net worth individuals. And they say, listen, you can use my name if you want to, which is very, 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 very like, wow. Yeah. But I get it because they trust me so much. And I get it. They're very good people. They want me to they don't want me to use their name in everything, but they just want to know like, hey man, like, tell them like you work with me. I never go into any numbers and I don't go into any of that stuff. I never do, but I just tell them like, yes, I work with so-and-so in his firm. And they're like, oh, wow. Like, that's very good. And it's like, and I'm like, listen, that's the only guy that tells me that I can do this, but I don't abuse it. Yeah. Put it that way. Like, I don't go walk around Brickell Avenue and say, oh, I work with these guys. Exactly. Like, I only use it in situations where I see that person that I'm speaking to is a little bit arrogant and he's testing me a little bit. He's saying like, hey, who are you? Like Eastern European guy managing money. You're a tall guy and might be like stealing and stuff or like, and I'm like, okay, well, this is who I work with. They're like, oh, wow. And then I just kind of leave it at that, because you gotta also, put people like they can't abuse you, you gotta show some respect also.
So obviously keeping everything, I'd imagine with the network that you have coming from sports, you probably work with plenty of professional athletes.
Yep.
What is the difference between working with like a professional athlete versus working with the entrepreneur that sold X company for $100 million? Well,
That's a good question.
Sure. So read your question. I love it, man. You guys are awesome.
You know, we have been developing our sports and entertainment division now for quite some time. The problem with sports and entertainment, there's a lot of people in the, in the pond or whatever you call it. Like, there's a lot of sharks out there, and because it's such a niche market, right? The reason why we're doing it is because of our background in sports and where we're from, because there's a lot of Eastern Europeans, a lot of Europeans that are professional athletes, and that's why we're managing their assets. We manage tennis players, NBA guys, some other professional sports as well. But we're very strict on confidentiality. We never say who it is and whatnot. And it's a very interesting situation with them. And we just brought on our firm a huge NBA professional that played NBA, that was like a world championship for our team from Serbia, Marko Jadic, who played for Los Angeles Clippers and whatnot. He's now the head of our sports and entertainment division. Nash, my partner Nash Subotic, we brought him in to develop that area because we want to continue to grow that sports and entertainment division. But the difference is really between sports and the business owner. It's really night and day. It's really night and day. They're very similar to the way how they think and what they want to do. Like the entrepreneur who wants to have 5 businesses, the sports athlete guy who wants to have 5 businesses, right? They're very much on the same page, but money wise, the athletes they don't have that much time to think and look at the money, because their whole model is like, how am I getting better? How am I playing, more games, making more points, and signing bigger contracts, right? While the business owner, entrepreneur is like, how am I growing this business? How am I reinvesting my money every single year, reinvesting and making more money, right?
That's their game.
The ads that just want it off their plate.
Yeah,
completely.
Yes, exactly. And the athlete thinks more, I want passive income. The entrepreneur guy wants more, I want active income. Like, I want to grow my business, right? So it's kind of like a growth and value conversation, right? Yeah, entrepreneur wants growth, and the athlete wants value. Like, I just want to kind of like get dividends and relax. So something like that, the issue, right? But he wants to invest in everything. I want real estate, I want this, I want that. It's tough. It's tough because it's 2 different mindsets, 2 different conversations. Second of all, the athletes, they get pitched all the time, man. They get people that are chasing them down, telling them this is the best thing, this is the new coin, this is the new Bitcoin, this is the new real estate project. So they're getting, I think, overwhelmed with information, and family members and aunts and uncles, relatives and friends and childhood buddies, coming up all of a sudden now and asking them like, hey, let's do this. The best. So that's a best idea. Yeah, they're very skeptical, like who they talk to and who they work with. And be honest with you, there are some athletes that we couldn't work together with just because of that. We kind of saw that there was like, it was just like too much. We can foresee that there was just like too much issues going to happen, and we didn't want to be in that situation where now we have to, listen, I want to ask the business owner directly, like, what is the decision that you want to go?
And
right?
there's too many hands in the pot.
Exactly. And in the athletic side, there's some athletes that, yes, they're going to be the decision maker and say like, listen, man, yes, I trust you guys. I want you guys to do this. I want to do this. But then there's some situations where you got to talk to the parents. You got to talk to the uncle. Yeah, you got to talk to the agent. You got to talk to the attorney that brought him in. You got to talk to the coach that brought him in. Like, and I just don't feel comfortable us making decisions on behalf of that person,
Yeah.
So we're really picky of who we choose. And our athletes love us. We really work with them very, very closely. They've been with us for a very long time. But we're very, I would say we're very kind of like, we do our due diligence on who we want to kind of work with, and if it makes sense working for us, on the athletic side. It's nice. Everybody wants to do that, right? Everybody wants the athletes, the actors, and this and that. It's nice, but it comes with the, with the risk and reward situation, and we don't want anything backfiring in us.
How do you manage the human aspect of that? Because it's like, listen, same thing with content. Not all content's going to do well. You know what it means? There might be, they're
Always on the phone with issues.
there's up days, there's down days, and I can imagine in your world, it's a whole long game.
A lot more than a lot. Do that against Instagram posts.
First of all, how do you personally manage your stress? And then how do you manage your client's stress?
Well, I manage my stress. I have to work out. So I have to work out. I have to do some type of sports activity. I try to do sports activities with clients. My stress comes out from like waking up early in the morning, going to the gym, doing my boxing, doing my paddle, doing my cone plunge, doing whatever I have to do. That's kind of where that kind of restarts my day and gets all of, anything out of me that can potentially, like have stress on me. So that I try to do that. I'm very big into biohacking. I'm very big into rejuvenation and supplements and, and stuff out there that, I try to work on my body as much as possible. I'm 45 years old and, a lot of my friends that are 45 years old, they look absolutely like, I don't even want to say the word. Yeah. Like disgusting, try to tell them. So like, I think health from a health perspective, you have to get your body, into it and then your mind. So I manage stress it's very interesting how I manage it, but I manage it in whether through sports or through, biohacking stuff and health, being just more health conscious, I think. And, speaking with clients about that, I think it's just the way of how you position what you want to do. Everybody is different. Everybody has different expectations. And what I figured out is like, you just have to be very, you cannot overwhelm the clients with information, like your contact. I'm sure you guys can speak to me about all these like creative ways how to do it and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what is like Google? Why is Google being charged this much? Why is Meta being charged this much? What is the awareness phase or whatever you guys are doing? Like, because I hear stories from all my clients what they're doing with their marketing and social media. Like, I have no idea what the awareness stage is. I have no idea, right? I just hear it all the time, right? And you guys know that they're there, right? So it's like, so you're confusing me already. Instead of you telling me like, hey, listen, we're going to do like this for 1 month, then we're going to get together, and then we're not going to talk for 3 months. We're going to see what happens, and then let's see the numbers, and then we'll make adjustments. So it's a 4 months or 5 months process before we get together and make adjustments. It's the same thing that I do, with my clients. I'm like, listen, if you look at this every single day, you are going to go crazy.
Yep.
Number one. Number two is I have an issue with you looking at every single day because you're now distracted from your work.
Yeah.
If you're an athlete, you're distracted from practice. If you're a business owner, you're distracted from business. There's nothing for you to look at this every single day because what we do, it takes time, right? It takes time.
Somebody speak. I wish I could bottle this conversation up and just shove it into people. Yeah, together. Like, let's do it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna clip this out, put it on a laptop, and just spin it around, and be like,
Hey man, let's tell them in their face that let's just bring them up, man. Like, let these guys breathe. Like, do what that is.
But I asked them this. I tell them like, listen, if we do it this way, it's going to alleviate so much stress. It's going to make some anxiety. But let me ask, I'm telling you this, Mr. Client, if you're going to look at this every single day, we're not a good fit for you.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell this to people.
Yep.
And I tell them, and I'm straightforward with them, and they have to know this because I really don't want to get that call at 10 p.m. Oh my God, at night, what's happening? Is, the world ending? Do I have to buy gold? Do I have to switch my money into crypto? Like, I don't want to have these conversations. I'm not a good fit. Maybe there's other advisors that love that stuff. They're a good fit for you. I'm not a good fit. So if you're going to do this way, which you're telling me, I really don't, we can't work together right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like, like a mean person. I'm just telling you, like, maybe right now is not the right time for us to do this.
Yeah.
We should wait until elections pass, until this happens, till the tax reform changes. Then we could talk. You understand? So you have to be very polite and nice, but at the same time, I tell them. So it's really me setting the expectation for them. Like, listen, man, this takes time. And I always ask them this. I always tell them, like, how much do you want me to reach out to you? How much do you want me to touch you? When I say touch, like, hey, it's like, hey, what's going on? And then that's when people say, well, I have, like every month. And then that's when I kind of like, like, okay, like, let's talk more into depth now, right? Why every month? Tell me. What's the reason behind it? Well, it's like, I want to make sure that all my stuff is good. I'm like, got it. But what we're doing right now is retirement. You are 40 years old. You're retiring in 20 years. But I mean, that's 70 now. I was like, change on a month to month. I was like, now it's different if that person has a income problem and sold his business and now is getting that money that is invested in me as income every single month. Now I understand the conversation is different. Now I will
take that person.
Yes, I will. I will.
Okay.
We have strategies, we have investments that give you immediate income every single month, generating yields, plus, dividends paid in every quarter. So it's like, yeah, absolutely. We have clients like that. I have clients that just live off of their principal, but it's a different strategy, right? It's a completely different strategy, completely model. And, I want to talk to them, but then the expectations are different for that person, right? So there's long-term investment and short-term or immediate investments, So it's a different conversation. But going back to this guy, give me an example. If he's going to look at every single month, I'm like, listen, you have 20 years to retire. Like, there's no point of you looking at everyone. Even if you wanted to, you can't touch out the money. You can't touch the money, but you can't take it out because it's meant for you for your retirement, for your exit strategy when you sell your business. So just give me a reason, why are we looking at this one, every single month? Well, I just kind of like to check in on it. Well, listen, how about you do me a favor? How about you don't look at it, follow the news, follow whatever you want to do, and let's meet up every quarter. So I kind of give him more, I'm trying to coach him to give him more time for him to or her to relax. You understand? And then kind of like, so that's what I do with those types of clients. And my immediate clients, I force them to meet with them every single month.
Yeah.
Because there's a client, I have a client, she's amazing. She lives off of income and she doesn't care. She's like, listen, I trust you. You're doing a great job. I'll talk to you whenever. I was like, no. You're getting from me quarterly income for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
We need to see each other every quarter.
Because you don't want them caught off guard if something goes awry, and then why are you not going to
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And she's a great client, amazing client. And I force her, and she trusts me, and we have a great relationship. We're working together, but I still force her every single 3 months. We are getting together. We get together at the same place, same restaurant. It's kind of like a don't jinx. It's funny. It's like we get together and like, listen, it's like we get together, we go over stuff and listen. And a lot of times we don't even talk about their investments. We talk about our other stuff and businesses and other stuff and, estate planning and, all this other stuff. But it's like, we have to get together. We have to be in contact because she's getting this money every single 3 months, every single quarter. You understand? So different approach, different conversation. So you have to set expectations for that type of clients. You have to set expectations for clients that are long-term.
Yeah.
But going back to what you're saying is like, you have to be the psychological shrink with them and kind of coach them and like, hey, like, it's okay not to look at it every single day. And then you got to be honest. If you ever feel that position where this is not going to work out or it's just going to damage you or it's going to, make your stress level, like you said, high, don't take the client. It's not worth it.
No,
it's never worth it. It's not worth it.
It's not never.
But listen, I listen. Everybody can say that. Everybody's gonna. There's a lot of liars out there. People are not honest. Was I chasing those clients when I started off in the business? Yeah, I would take anybody. Because you got to survive. You got take these points. Yeah, because I got to survive. But now, where you're at a point where you guys are doing good stuff with other clients and bigger numbers, you can now have the luxury of saying, listen, I don't think this is going to work with us. Let's find another client, right?
Yeah.
But in the beginning, absolutely. You have to kind of take what you receive.
It's interesting to get your perspective because of the conversation we had last night.
Yeah.
Because I always have this, take what you were talking about, the firm that you worked with before, where you're selling products, where you're really like pushing products. It's a more short-term game. That route does not get you the NBA, entertainer, business owner, and in our world, it's the same thing. Because in the agency space, there's a lot of people that sell air. They sell garbage. Yeah, they sell garbage and they brand it, they mass market it to the world. But when you're working with the type of people that we work with, just being associated to that type of product is going to hurt your chances of getting in the door with somebody else.
Absolutely.
But then talking about what we were talking about last night, it's like, but then you kind of run off into, we're 3 years in.
Yeah.
So we haven't even gotten to our fourth, you know what I mean? Talking about with wealth management, like people getting that 4 year string. Yeah. Taking a client because we're like, this is going to be a headache, but
We got to do plan. You got to survive. You got to just, you got to survive. Pushing.
But you learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
So for the future, you guys will be ready to know you can filter it out. It's great. But you know what? It comes down also while you're doing that, and every business is doing that. They're taking risks that they're not supposed to. And I get that. You have to do that. And I speak with business owners that are trying off new businesses, and they're like, listen, I know this is a bad deal, but I have to get it. I have to pay a higher interest rate than what the average interest rate is because of my, and I get that, right? But it's a filter. But the first thing that I always fall back to is like, before you do that, what is your vision? Like, what have you thought about? What's the game plan for you to do this before you take on this risk? Now, listen, you got to take on the risk. When I started in the business, people don't know this. I didn't have a car. My office was in Brickell. I had to take the tube, the metro, and walk, before, and listen, and that's just, it's real life. Like nobody came to me with a $10 million portfolio and said, listen, Nick, I like your investment money. No, man, I was opening up brand new accounts, $100 a month, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have a car. I was thinking that. So like but I had a vision, right? And this is what I always tell all my junior advisors is that they're starting the business. I'm like, listen, let me tell you something. I want you to comprehend this. It's like, listen, a vision without action, it's called daydreaming. So I tell my junior advisors, because I see how they act in the office, and I tell them, listen, you have a vision of what's your vision? Well, I want to be successful. I want to have this boat. I want to park it right here in front of the Aston Martin building. Like, I want to be successful. Is that great? What's the action plan? You're sitting down in the office and you're not doing anything. So, right? You know what that's called? That's called daydreaming. So vision without action is called daydreaming. You are daydreaming right now. You have this beautiful vision, but you're not doing anything. So you're just daydreaming, right? But then opposite, then I have some people, people in my office in our firm globally that they have action, right? But they don't have any vision. Like they're all over the place. Or they're like, I want to do retirement. I want to do estate planning. I want to do tax planning. I want to do this. I want to do that. But they have no vision. They have no clear path of where they want to be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now. And you know what that I call? I call that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's even worse because you don't even know what the hell are you doing for, right? You don't even know what you're doing for. So going back to that risk taking, it's like you have to have that clear vision, right? To then execute that action in order to get there. And yes, you're going to take risks. Yes, you're going to lose some. Yes, you're going to, you're going to have to maybe get in debt more in order to succeed. But listen, at the end of the day, if you put in the work and you have that vision, you will succeed. You will accelerate. You will do that.
Yeah, that's basically what we were talking about last night is like if you do decide to not go for the quality over the quantity, like even 3 years in, it's like we're selling higher packages, but it's like if 2 or 3 roll off, like we're back to like, what the fuck are we going to do now?
Yeah. So, and then you have that moment of like talking about the nightmare. If you aren't convicted in where you're going, it's super easy to compromise the vision because you feel that pit in your stomach. You're like, well, what happens if?
Like we got to go pick up a couple lower ticket to keep like the light off. Say,
absolutely.
It's like a crossroads almost. It's like you got to pick your path, because you can't do both. That's what we're basically talking about last night. Is you cannot do both because if you start going all lower to make sure you're making all this money, those higher clients that you're going for, that's the product that they see you putting out is like these low. That's what you're for. And now you're those guys, like you're the quantity guys, like you're just pumping shit out. You're just signing clients every day, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of trying to be the niche of going for the top, and then you just live in that fear of like, well, like this might all come crashing down tomorrow, So it's like you live that every day. It's like you wake up, you're like, let's see if we got it one more day, right? Dad.
But you guys have the vision. You guys have a vision. You guys know where you want to be. And, you just gotta take it as it comes, man. Yep. But you're absolutely right. It's definitely, when in our firm, it's weird. You asked me about that. Like, what's your, like, what, I get this asked all the time. Like, what's your minimum? Because I have some people that are very scared of like working with me because they're like, oh my, Nico, you only take like $1 million accounts, probably just maybe just the way I dress, the way, where I am, where I have lunch. They have this mindset. And I tell people, it's like, listen, man, we do not discriminate. We do not discriminate. Listen, there's no, and I'll tell you why, because, even if you're starting off, we will take you on. I might not take you on directly, but my team will. There's somebody in my team that I'm going to introduce you to. I will overlook everything, right? But I will take you on. I'm not leaving you behind. Why? Because I have to give you the same opportunity they gave me. When I came here, when somebody trusted me with their first big check or first big investment account, right? They gave me a shot. So I'm going to be with you. And believe it or not, some of my clients, when I started this business years ago, they started off by themselves, doing something like you guys, like very similar, like very, very hard risk, blah, blah, blah. Now they are huge.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the thing. And I told him this last night. It's not a matter of high ticket, low ticket in your business, minimum of $1 million. I want to work with winners.
Yes.
Because
There
winners
you go. We always win. Absolutely.
no matter what.
No matter what.
It doesn't matter if it's financial, if it's content, if it's sport.
100%.
They'll win.
They're going to win. Exactly. You want them. And that's why, I always tell this is like, listen, we're going to do this because I believe in you. I know you can do it. I know you have the potential to do it. And listen, if things don't work out, you still have us. We're going to help you. We're going to figure it out together. Right. So that's really, it's very important because there's a lot of people here in my industry that are like, oh, I don't want to work with this guy. Like they kind of like throw them off. And I'm like, listen, man, you guys are not doing the right thing. Like you're not doing the right thing. So,
Well, it's if you have the vision and you know where you want to go, you're willing to make the 5-year bet.
correct.
We have people that we work with now that we say like, give it 3 years. Like they will be huge. Give it 3 years. But most
They don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear it. They're like, I want it now.
But that's your. But when I talk to winners, they're like, tell me what I have to do.
Right. Love it.
No matter how slow it takes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
This is an awesome podcast.
Yeah, dude, I love you. Have you ever seen Ballers? The show, man. Of course, how a guy envision your life. Murder. I've been thinking about it the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? I have a good friend of mine. He actually lives in Berkeley. He tells me like, when I see the show Ballers, you look at what's the
It's like because he was an NFL player, became financial manager, basketball player. To think, all right, you got that going for you.
Well, it was taped in Miami. Ballers was taped in Miami, but definitely it's not like in real life like that. But no, what I'm saying is like, but no, it's a great show and it shows a lot of like, craziness going on in the athletic world. But you're not the first person to tell that.
Yeah.
But it's a great city. It's a great city. It's a great area, and it's a great place to be in business with. I think any type of business, as my business, your business, it's a great opportunity.
I agree.
Yeah, we struggle with that sometimes too. It's like, shoot, like kind of just want to move here. Yeah, just pick everything up and drop it down here. It's
Last question. How do you balance somewhere like Miami, which is highly competitive, like you're swimming with sharks all the time, versus smaller markets? Like you've been in Naples, you understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess in your world, it's still a smaller market because it's less volume of people with money. But how would you manage that? Like the difference between a small market versus a big market?
Wow, so that's an interesting question. I haven't thought. I got to look into more depth into that. But yeah, that's a good thing you point because I haven't thought about it. But just top of my head, I think here it's about, I think a lot. What I see in Miami is like about brand recognition. Like people are throwing out their names, and I have a lot of clients that are attorneys, and then like see like there's a law firm out there has a big name out and it's a lot here about that, like corporate attorney events. I was just at a very big corporate attorney event. It was amazing. They had like all like these like I don't know how many pounds of stone crabs they had, like, so they're getting their name out there with stuff like that. So it's here, I think they're fighting over like brand recognition and how they show their name and whether they do any charity work or whether they do any brand awareness events and stuff like that, where I think Naples is more geared to like, more one-on-one meeting together. Like, I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking, like when I'm seeing with my clients right here, but here it's like, it's very big, but like the way that I position myself and the way our firm positions ourselves, like I have no competition. That's in my mind. People might laugh. People listen to my podcast and be like, oh yeah, this guy is like whatever, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, look, like Deutsche Bank is here, like Goldman Sachs is right here, right on the corner. Like I have no competition against those guys. And I'll tell you why, because they don't do half of the stuff that we do. They don't. They really don't. And I'm willing to bet against anything and get a great lunch, bet against a great lunch like that. When you compare stuff what we do and the options that they provide their clients and the stuff that they do to their clients and what we do, it's night and day. Even though we're in the same, let's say, playing field, but we're playing completely different sports in it. So how I really position myself psychologically is I don't have any competition, because there's always something that I do that the other that the other firm doesn't do, right? So from that perspective, like working in a big city, you know, the number one thing that, you know, when I speak with like a high net worth individual is like, you're like, well, why would I work with you instead of working with X bank or X wirehouse or whatnot? And the first thing I tell them is like, listen, like, first of all, like, we're smaller, we cannot compete. There is no way. Listen, right? But let me tell you something. Have you done this with these guys? Have you talked about it? He goes like, no, we always talk about this stuff. It's exactly, this is what we do. We do this stuff. We make sure you're organized. We make sure we do your estate planning right. We make sure you ask for protection. Like, we do all this other stuff that we don't even get compensated for, right? In order just to kind of see what's going around in your business, in your financial picture or whatnot. And then we start dissecting stuff in a different way. And the second thing I always tell them is like, listen, man, you don't call a 1-800 number when you reach. You're going to call me directly. If I don't answer the phone, some other people from my team will answer the phone. We'll get an answer to you right away. So you are actually really in it for the service and that personal touch, personal feeling, right?
It's white glove.
Exactly, white glove. Because if you go over there, you're going to have a minimum of a $10 million account with them in order for somebody to pick up the phone. Otherwise, they're going to put you to a 1-800 number. They're going to call somebody in New York to ask a question to do something, right?
Yep.
So it's really that personal service, that personal glove. And that's what really differentiates yourself. But it comes with the mind, and you know, you have to work at this. This doesn't happen overnight. Like, you can't just wake up out of bed like, oh, I have no competition. No, you guys have a competition. I have competition. Yeah. But the way I just position it in my mind is like, listen, man, I don't care who you put me in a room with. I don't have any competition with you. I'm always going to do something more or better, possibly, that you don't offer to that person, which they can possibly be interested in.
And it's finding the white space. It's finding the white space. And then because you're nimble enough when you're not a big bank like that to actually service in a way that other people can't. Like, I think the more nimble you can be in a service industry, the better you'll be, because you can actually position yourself as no competition.
No competition. Yeah. No competition. And listen, and it shows.
Yeah.
You have to have that inside of you, in your mind. Yeah, conviction. They smell it. They can smell it. Listen, man, when I sit down with my partners in meetings, first of all, all my big clients are all big clients. Me, I know we're going a little bit over time, but I just want to get good. No, I just want to, please. It's when I sit down with like a very important person, a very successful person, a person that I know that has a huge net worth, right? I never come to the meeting by myself. Never. You guys are partners. I bring in my partners in. I tell my partner, listen, man, I'm speaking with so-and-so, just sold his business for X amount, doesn't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. I need you, blah, 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 blah. I bring my whole team. Like, they get intimidated. They're like, who is on this call? Why is there like 5 people on the Zoom link? I'm like, listen, this is my team. That's why our firm is called Westpac Wealth Partners. These are my partners. I cannot do this by myself.
Yep.
I have a team of experts around me that each individual knows a specific expertise that they mastered. So when we sit together, you are sitting together with all of us, right? But you see what I'm getting at? Like, it's the positioning and the psychological positioning, and how I'm not afraid of going into any room with any other firm, anybody. They can do anything, because why? I have my whole team behind me. Now, if I do it by myself, I would get destroyed, because I know a lot of stuff. There's stuff that I don't know. What if he comes with his attorney and his CPA to the room? They ask me like 3 questions that I won't have an answer to. I'm like, I'm going to be scratching myself like, what?
Yeah.
So, but it's that fortitude, it's that power, that the mental toughness that I have, that I built. And it took me a lot of time to develop this, where I don't care. I'm going to talk. I don't have the competition. Let's talk and let's see if we can do business, man.
It's The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu bleeds. There you go.
That's exactly what it is. It's prepare for battle, and then hope you never have to go.
No, exactly, man. It's like, it's huge, man. I love it.
I love that mentality. Man, I could keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. She said, you guys are awesome, man. All the best. All the kudos.
How can the team, how can our subscribers support you?
No, absolutely. I mean, listen, check us out, westpacwealth.com. PAC is PAC, westpacwealth.com. We have a lot of information there on us. We have nationwide offices, Miami, San Francisco, San Diego, Nevada. We can see everything online about us and about our whole team and our whole, our whole approach to things, and, our philosophy and our financial statement and everything. So that, you can just check us out online. And
you have a good newsletter.
Oh,
Read it this morning.
thank you very much.
You put out something about how to grow to, you had a hyperlink to the entrepreneur about how to grow $1 billion company. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
morning.
yeah. So yeah, I try to send information to clients and to people that I'm speaking to just to get them, you know, up to date on stuff as much as I can. You know, don't try to overwhelm them with too much. But like, you know, once a month I send them something. You know?
I love it. Yeah. Appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, guys.
Once we're big enough and we could hit your minimum, we'll give you a call.
No, we're quiet. No minimums. Come on. No,
We'll have some conversation.
Absolutely, man. Anything I can help you guys with, and vice versa. You guys can help us out with anything, man.
Don't keep us a secret.
Yeah, don't keep us a secret, man. Don't keep us secrets. Promise me you're gonna tell that to your next job. You know, it's like, don't keep us a secret. Any other big clients, any good clients that you did good with, like don't keep me a secret. Why? Or I think I'm gonna ask, why are you keeping us as a secret?
I got one guy in mind.
We haven't gotten any introductions from you guys. Like, why are you keeping us as a secret? But
2 or 3 years and we crush it for you. Like,
yeah.
why do you have us hit him no way?
Why I was in the way? Exactly. Man, think about it. They're not gonna leave.
To control.
They're gonna leave if they say that. Come on, they're not gonna leave. You know, then they're gonna be thrown off a little bit. Like, oh my god, like really? I'm like, yeah, but I'm serious. Like, why?
Come on.
Why are you keeping us as a secret, man?
We got it, you too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, imagine like you owning a restaurant
Yeah.
and you have one guy coming to you for years and he didn't bring anybody.
Like he comes by himself.
He comes by
That's the
himself.
craziest thought.
But is that true?
If I could bottle it up and just
But I'm saying, you it's like, what would you tell that person? Like, hey man, whatever your name is, Mike, you're coming to my restaurant by yourself. You never brought your friends over. You never even told your friends about me. You never told your business, you know, where you work that I can cater for you guys. Like, why are you? Think about it like that. And that's how I thought about it. I was like, there's no difference. Of us owning a restaurant, it's a service. And we're a service. So let's do it, guys. You guys are awesome. Keep rocking and rolling, man.
Thanks.
We appreciate it.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
All of